It's me again. I'm Steve. I'm here with Alex. Alex, how you doing?
All right, doing great, man. How you?
Always chilling, man. Always chilling. Today, let the folks know what we're talking about.
Today we are talking about the film Passenger 57 with my man Wesley Snipes. Absolutely wonderful,
And
wonderful film.
yeah, who's in this movie, man? I know a lot of people probably don't remember.
Right. Well, of course you got Wesley Snipes. He plays John Cutter. Um, you've got the villain, which is played by Bruce Payne, and you got actually one of the guy that plays opposite Wesley Snipes as his friend is Tom Sizemore.
Sizemore. Yeah.
Tom Sizemore, and we know him from one film I remember him from was The Bronx Bull, which is kind of like not really a documentary, but like based on the life of Jake. I think his name is Romano.
Johnny the Bull or something like that.
Yeah.
The mob guy. Yeah.
Called Bronx Bull. So pretty decent film. But usually you always see him in like doing mob stuff. You know, I think he's a great actor when it comes to like any type of mob or like criminal underworld type stuff. He always does real good. So
wasn't he in The Relic?
Yeah, the horror movie, The Relic, with that beetle that was eating people's brains.
Yeah. The beetle lizard, whatever it was.
Yeah, I think it was like a big ass beetle or something. Yeah, that was a good ass film.
Oh,
do that.
We might have talked about that shit.
Yeah, you got to do it. You just the light bulb just went on. Also, we got the young lady that plays opposite Wesley Snipes is I think her name is Alex Datcher. Yeah, and actually she's been in like Martin. I've seen her in a few episodes of Steve Harvey, the Steve Harvey Show, and she played in a few Star Trek episodes too. So pretty active.
And unfortunately, she wasn't in a lot. Like she wasn't in a lot of like big name roles because this is I think maybe the biggest movie she was in.
Yeah, she did like a lot of like I guess TV series and stuff like that, but she didn't get it like doing any like A-list stuff except for like this, So I was gonna ask you. So, what did you think of the plot and give us a quick synopsis of the plot, like what happened?
Well, Passenger 57. Our hero, played by Wesley Snipes, is Cutter. He is a like former head of security for the airlines, and now he's like a paid trainer. So he goes around and trains the airline staff on how to deal with terrorism, acts of terrorism, and things of that nature.
Right.
And we have this villain. He's a terrorist. All right, he's a terrorist, and he's done all this bad stuff. He got caught, and he's scheduled to go and be put on trial and face execution and everything. So he pulls he's in a situation where he's getting a doctor to change his face again. I think they mentioned that in the movie. So that he can hide from the law and escape or whatever. And he gets wind that the FBI is closing in on it.
Right.
And escapes in one of the most implausible scenes ever. That's actually on my dumb part of this. But we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But he this guy escapes, man, and comes up. He gets caught. Right. Police actually do something right after screwing up. They do something right. They catch the guy, and he's supposed to be, of course, carted off to wherever he's going, and they put him on, Con Air basically.
Right.
And he ends up on as a prisoner. He ends up on the same plane as John Cutter, our former head of security. And as cheesy of a setup that is, it's typical 90s, action movie setup. The worst bad guy ever is in the same vicinity as the most badass good guy ever.
Right.
That's kind of the plot of this movie, man. They end up on the same plane, and hey, guess what? This guy's people had already concocted a plan to hijack the plane so that he can escape.
Right.
And that's where all of the Wesley awesomeness begins
Right.
in this movie, because he Wesley Snipes, man, was legit.
Yeah.
Dude was legit, and he's a legitimate,
What you
spin
saw
kicking
him doing
badass.
was him. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So, just from there, I mean, the plot is that, Wesley is here to save the day. He's here to save the plane, here to save the people. He's got to deal with like some bigot kind of, low key racist cops.
Yeah.
And all in, what's crazy is all of this movie takes place in 83 minutes, including the credits. I couldn't believe that when I rewatched it. Many times I've seen it. Right. So many things happen in this movie. I forgot it's so short.
Right.
So, yeah, the editor's awesome. I didn't even write down who the editor was for this movie, but he edited the shit out of this movie to get it down that short.
I think I got it right here. Hang on. Let me see if I can. Richard Nord. Nord. So, yeah.
Yeah, I might have to check his stats.
You have to look him up and see what he's done.
Yeah, he's a specialist at under 90 minutes.
Right.
So man, look, with all that, you got you set up for a great 90s action movie, ridiculous plot, ridiculous hero, ridiculous villain, and the shit is all awesome.
Yeah.
What was? Give me. I'm not even gonna say one, man. Give me your best kills in the movie if you have more than one.
Well, I mean, I got one, because this kind of demonstrates, how straight up and ruthless Charles Rain was when he shot that first passenger while he was talking to Snipes. When Snipes comes out and tell him to drop his gun and all this stuff, and he's got one of his boys, and then he grabs the guy. He's talking to him, "Hey John, you got any kids?" Stuff like that, and just instantaneously, without hesitation, smokes this guy. And that really hit me, because like we know that this villain's going to be, off the chain, because it wouldn't be a movie if we didn't have anything like that. But to see that type of ruthlessness, man, I love that in a villain. The only other time I saw something like that was a James Bond film, and it had a guy, I think it was called The Living Daylights, and the guy, I think that's one. And the guy in the beginning had caught his girlfriend cheating, and he cut the guy's heart out. Had his boys cut the guy's heart out, man. And it's just real casual. Man, don't worry, sweetheart, I'm gonna give you his heart. Just really raw. Man. I love that, because it just brings the level of the villain up and makes you go, oh shit, sit up in the chair like, okay. He ain't no punk.
I'm trying to remember which was that. So it had to be with Timothy Dalton. Was it Living Daylights or was it License to Kill?
It was the one it was the one that had the Shark Tank in it. That might have been License to Kill.
Yeah, I'm License to Kill, because that was the one about the drug. Drug
that guy that was the Colombian dude. Yeah, that guy was wrong.
Yeah, that's actually a good movie too, man.
So that's my favorite kill. He just killed that guy. The guy didn't even have a chance enough to say bye. Just smoked him. Whoa.
And you from that point, like, this guy's so ruthless, like, it sets the stakes for the movie.
Yeah, he gonna do whatever. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Like, these people don't mean nothing else. Man, for me, I think I had two, because they were like equal. I couldn't decide between the two, man. First is the pilot that why can't I remember the bad guys?
Right at the beginning.
The bad guy's name right now. Yeah. Hold on. What's the guy's name? Charles Rain.
Yeah, that guy caught it bad too. I know exactly what part you're talking about.
He gets into the cockpit, the pilots and the navigator, and he says, "Who's in charge?" So the pilot, like a pilot, he turns around and says, "I am." Mm-hmm. One right through his dome.
Smoke. Smoked. Yeah.
No hesitation. Zero. Yeah, like you said, got smoked. Brains all over the windshield. So then he asked the co-pilot, "Who's in charge?" And the co-pilot said the right thing. "You are."
Yeah, exactly.
He said what his partner should have said. So that was one. And then the other was, for whatever reason, man, when Wesley's wife got smoked, she's not like part of the whole terrorism thing. It's a flashback. But the conversation that Wesley had with the robber, and he said, "Look, man, the gun's down. You know, I ain't mean to try to stop you."
Mm-hmm.
And the dude said, "You shouldn't have tried to stop me to begin with," and then smokes his wife.
Yeah, that right there. That dude was like a potato chip robber, man. He was trash. I'm like, God, but yeah, that moment right there just goes to show you like anything can happen. The drop of a hat. You know what I'm saying? And you can lose a loved one just like that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, bullshit.
That was raw.
So
that was a raw thing.
Yeah, those two right there were like the ones that stick out in my head. The rest of them, like typical spin kick a dude through a door, but
yeah.
Yeah, those two stand out. Who's your favorite character other than Wesley Snipes' character?
Well, I like Sly because I kind of I like the mob stuff. So every time I see him saying his lines and stuff like that, Sizemore really did his part as far as like playing his role and delivery wise. So I kind of like him, but he didn't really do much other than like kind of just be like a lot of yapping. He didn't do like any
running around in the office and yelling.
Right, you didn't see him doing action stuff. Didn't see him doing.
It was hard to even figure out what his actual if you weren't paying like really close attention, you wouldn't even know what his job was. Like what does he actually do?
Right. Is he like a consultant or I thought that they were working for like Homeland Security type thing.
Nope.
And
that's the thing that's probably some of the stuff he got cut out, honestly, by the editor. It's like, nobody worry about this shit. Anybody paying that close attention. And honestly, when you're watching it, you really not paying that much attention. Like, I don't really give a shit what he does.
But with him, I liked him. But of course, I like the Killer. I think the Killer was one of those killers. I put him up there with the same guy, with the guy from Die Hard. He's just got that gruff and that rawness. But he's willing to do whatever, or he was willing to do whatever it took to get away. And I like killers like that because it just makes it harder for the heroes, and it just makes it more thrilling. Like if you got a villain that's just got a bunch of guys, a bunch of thugs with him, and just pushes his weight around and seems really, really fake and trash. And then you got these guys that really get your attention, make you sit up in the chair like, okay, joke. I like that because to me that's more real. Like if you're gonna come out here and do something criminal, that at that stage, that scale, you got to be like that. You got to be.
Yep. He was a cold fish, man. That dude was a cold fish.
Yeah. With mental issues.
Right. And like you were saying, that raises because he damn sure told the lawyer, don't call me insane, and made him. What didn't he? He hit his head into the table and then made him
repeat it like 4 or 5 times.
But
crack. He has
a guy like that
shit going on.
A guy like that, man, he raises the stakes of the movie with those decisions. So you're like, okay, you're not some, paper mache bad guy. This dude's legit. For me, man, I was gonna actually say the same thing, man. Rain, and I keep wanting to call him Claude. His name wasn't Claude, was it?
No, it's Charles.
Yeah, I don't know why I keep saying Claude. I'm thinking about movie Life, Eddie Murphy and anyway. When you have a good villain in a movie, like this good sleazy mustache twirling villain, they kind of become the most interesting part of the movie.
Yeah.
And for me, this guy, Rain, he is kind of the most interesting part, even though he's a complete asshole, sadistic, and just disgusting as a bad guy. He's still the most interesting part of the movie to me.
Yeah.
And how this dude in the same movie escapes, gets caught, forces an escape again, and he gets killed. This dude escaped 3 times in the same movie.
Yeah. And
it only happens in 80. I got to repeat this. 83 minutes.
Yeah.
All this happens. So, he's just the most interesting part of the movie to me. Other than Wesley Snipes, of course, but he's just the most interesting part of this movie for me.
And Mr. Payne, he's got this. I don't know if you noticed, he's got this face about him, man. He's got this really good poker face, man. Yeah. And it's like really like stonish, stoic. Like you can't really read him. And he did the same thing because he's from. I remember him most from Warlock, because that's horror, And
it was like Warlock 3, I think, right?
Yeah. I think it was like 3 of them. Yeah, and he was doing the same thing in there, man. Just you couldn't really read him, but he just had that face that you knew, and just the way he carried himself was like gave you chills, man.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, he had that like stone face, man. He was just
couldn't read
serious.
the guy, man. Couldn't read
Right.
him.
What's crazy, man? Every time I see his face, the movie that comes up the most, honestly, for whatever dumb reason, is like Howling 4.
Oh,
And
damn.
it's the one that had like the circus freaks or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was like the bad guy vampire.
Right. I forgot
And
about Howling 4, man. Oh,
yeah,
man.
and it's one of those movies that it stays in the back of my head because I remember when it came out on like HBO. It was one of those movies that was shown on HBO like every other night. Like if you was up late, like that movie came on. And I remember watching it like a bunch of times because I was like, this is stupid. But I kind of like it though. Yeah. So that's why I see his face, man, when I see this movie.
Yeah, I got to go back and take a look at it because I think the Warlock films came out. It was during the 90s. They might have been like mid to late 90s, though, I think. But he's had his hands in a lot of weird stuff. If you look at his whole film bio, I mean, he's done a lot of weird stuff too, man. If you go through and look through, he's done a lot of horror, sci-fi stuff as well. So
yeah, and there's quite a few character actors that have been around Hollywood a long time in this movie.
Right. What was your favorite scene?
So I'm gonna tell you what's crazy. When I got favorite scene here in my notepad, right? And I wrote too many.
Too many, yeah.
I wrote too many because right. Like his reactions, first of all, he has just like, you gotta remember at this point in Wesley Snipes' career, at this point in the 90s, Wesley Snipes was the coolest motherfucker around,
Yeah.
And just his whole swagger and lingo, like in the movie, man, it's like, I'm like, man, so many cool ass scenes. He said like, always bet on black.
Yeah, that's still circulating today.
Right.
Yeah.
When he tells that sheriff, I thought all you biscuit eating motherfuckers could drive.
Look, Chief, I thought all you ham-hocking country biscuit eating boys knew how to drive. Was that a bunch of bullshit or what?
I ain't had a challenge like that since I was in high school.
Yep. Straight Dukes of Hazzard.
Right.
That was a funny part too. I thought that shit was funny too.
When the terrorists first take over, and he's in the bathroom because he got a headache, and because I remember like he has a issue like flying. Like you work airline security, but anyway.
Yeah, you shook to fly.
Right. He in the bathroom when the terrorism starts, which is perfect script writing because how else do you get him out of there? He got a headache and go to the bathroom. But when he sees the first terrorist coming at him, like he comes out the bathroom and he plays just like a whole punk, like, oh my god, don't hurt me, don't hurt me, don't hurt me. He whoops the guy. He whoops the dude's ass. Yeah. And if you look in the background, there's a steward that's just like this the whole time, like watching. There's so many of these stupid scenes like this, man, and then kind of like the fight scene at the end where like he doing spin kicks standing in the airline seat.
Shit gets back your mouth.
Right.
Flying all over everywhere. I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it.
Roundhouse kicks and shit, man.
The physics was off big time.
The plane was perfectly level. I don't know, man. Whatever.
Yeah.
Look, when me and my wife were watching it the other night, she said, how the hell they doing all that with big ass holes inside the plane? I said, look, I had to come up with excuses like it's probably under 10,000 feet. You know what I'm saying? They won't get sucked out.
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
It had to be lower to the ground.
Yeah. Who gives a shit though?
Yeah.
But yeah, I just had too many, man. This movie's great. From scene to scene, this movie's great. It's one of those movies you just have a great ass time watching it. You can turn your brain off, man. Make some popcorn.
Enjoy the ride.
Watch Wesley Snipes be like, black Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando. Because he's just.
What was the dumbest scene you thought in the whole film?
I thought the dumbest shit I saw in this movie, man, is when Rain escapes, man. He jumps out of fucking hospital window. they show you like from a low angle when he jumps out. So there's like at least 3 floors in frame.
Right.
So that means he's jumping at least 4. You know what I'm saying? And I can't understand if this was his plan, but it just so happens that like he hits one of those umbrellas, like those big ass umbrellas you have in your backyard.
Yeah.
He lands on that and rolls off.
Flimsy ass umbrella.
And lives. I've had a few of those umbrellas in my years, and I can tell you, if something bigger than a coconut land on that shit, it'll probably rip through it or break one of the arms. He hits that joint, rolls off, man. Combat rolls off it, gets up and starts running.
Yeah.
Yeah, yo, he is Captain America at this point.
Outrunning the police.
Right.
Outrunning the police.
I just thought that was the dumbest thing, because I'm like, that couldn't have been the plan, unless it's one of those things that, because they don't show you any kind of planning beforehand with him escaping and any kind of setup. So like, if he was going to jump out of the window, what the fuck was his plan? Right. And maybe that was one of those things that got cut out in the editing or something, or they thought it might have looked too confusing. But this is more confusing when it happens like this. Just show me something.
Right, because it didn't make any
plan,
sense unless he was just in desperation.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah, his plan couldn't have been, I'm going to hit this umbrella and not skewer myself through it, you know?
Right.
Oh, yeah. What was your dumbest?
You know, for the life of me, man, I cannot get past that part where he got, when Wesley Cutter got kicked out of the plane. I got a problem with that whole scene, man. Like, they were going to jump and roll and get off the plane. Mm-hmm. She gets, she sees the dude coming, screams all late. She gets knocked over the side or whatnot, mm-hmm. and he just gets knocked off the freaking plane and then goes unconscious. Yeah. And the racist cops show up, and I'm just like, what the hell is this, man? I didn't get that. I was struggling with it.
No, that's because the movie has to happen. And that's basically it.
Right.
At that point in the script, the movie got to happen. So we got to get him off the plane. And what's the easiest way to get him off the plane and not make him look like a bitch for getting kicked off the plane? The dude sneaks up on him and kicks him off in the ass, and whatever.
I struggle with that part.
Me too. With that one. And like you said, old girl was late as hell.
Yeah, way late. Look out, like,
Cutter. No,
right there. Like, come on, man. You smell this freaking cologne by now. Like, we right on.
Yeah, for real. Shit. So I got a question for you. Do you feel mm-hmm. like there could have or would have been a sequel?
I would like to see some more Cutter. I really would. I think that if Wesley wanted to come back and do it now, I think it would be, I don't know if they could run a bunch of films with it, but I know that it's good for one more, for sure. Especially the way things are now, with terrorism and active shooters and stuff like that. And Wesley's still in shape, man. It would be nice for him to pick that script back up or pick that character back up and do something with it. Because I'd like to see John Cutter right now. I really would. I think it would be real nice for him.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I'd like to see him come back.
I feel like you mentioning that, I feel like, Michael Jai White would make like a straight to video remake of this movie. Just because he's got like, what was the one? Sudden Death.
Sudden Death, just that did that one.
Mm-hmm. Right, he remade that on Netflix, kind of made it a comedy or whatever. I couldn't watch it. And I love Michael Jai White movies. Yeah.
It was in.
Yeah. And he's got Commando. He's got a remake of Commando that I still haven't watched because Commando is one of my favorite movies ever, and I can't.
Right.
I don't want to taint my mind if this movie's terrible.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I could just see him making some cheesy like Passion 58, straight to Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be the same unless Wesley came back. I really would think that.
Right.
They'd have to get Wesley come back. He'd
have to have some kind of role in it.
Right.
Even if it's like it's something as cheesy as this is his son or son, whatever, nephew, cousin, whatever, who's the head of security. So yeah, it'd be cool to see something. The movie is kind of like handmade to have a a series of movies where it's hamstrings. So, let me back up. Just like you could have had multiple sequels to Commando because it's an isolated story. The next movie they could change the story as some terrorist is trying to do something, whatever. This movie's kind of the same situation where you could put John Cutter in different situations. You get 2 or 3 movies out of this.
Yeah.
But you hamstring yourself when you name your movie with a number.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is if you call it Passenger 57, then the sequel can't be Passenger. It ain't gonna be Passenger 57 too because he's passenger number 57. So they'd be like, oh, he's a 57th passenger again, and there's a terrorist attack on the plane. You know, yeah. You can't call it past the 50, 59 or whatever, because that sounds.
You'd have to start over. You'd have to start over with a whole new scenario, right? Right,
unless you make it really different, like now he's passenger, 007 or some dumb shit. I don't know. I guess you could make a series of passenger movies, but anyway, it is the story and the cheesiness and the action. It's perfect for, and it's under 90 minutes, and it's perfect for like if you want to do straight to video DVDs, then fine, do it like that, or straight to VOD. I'm getting old. I'm on fucking DVDs.
Don't worry, you ain't by yourself. Me too.
But yeah, you could make this. This could have been several movies. You just hamstring yourself when you give it a name like that.
Right?
If you had called it like Cutter, you just called it Cutter, whatever.
Right.
Passenger Cutter, something like that. But if you call it Passenger 57, yeah, you really can't.
Kind of lock yourself in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. At that point, Wesley's career though, like he was on the come up, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And that kind of goes into the next question. Why do you like this film? I like it because again, it's Wesley at his prime, man. He was the man. He was the man, and he did everything in this film that you would want to see him to do in an action film. So
yeah,
that's what made it for good.
What else you want to see? You want to see like your hero who always gets the girl, whoops everybody ass 1 on 10, doesn't matter. Spin kicks and one-liners, and that's this movie.
Right.
That's this movie. I love it for the same reason, man. It's perfect 90s action. Turn your brain off.
Yes.
Action. And, every director can't pull off a Terminator 2.
No.
All right.
No, true.
But I feel like a lot of directors could pull off Passenger 57.
Oh yeah.
And if that's what you're good at, that's what you need to do.
Right. I agree.
Terminator is Terminator 2 is the perfect action movie that happens to have some pretty thoughtful science fiction in it, even though time travel, whatever. But there's a whole nother layer to that movie that puts it at another level.
Yes.
But if you take out all of the sci-fi part of Terminator 2, it's still just a good action movie.
Good action film, right?
And that's what this movie is. It's just a good action movie. It's nothing thoughtful about it. It's nothing high level about it. It is exactly what it's supposed to be. Dude's getting the shit kicked out of him, and a cool ass star.
Right.
Because Wesley was the coolest like I said, the coolest brother, one of the coolest brothers around right back then, and he was giving all the dark skinned brothers hope. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that was back when everybody was color struck,
Yeah, 90s.
Yeah, he was giving the dark skinned brothers hope. So yeah, you can't ask for more, man. Passenger 57, you can't ask for more.
No, on another note, the soundtrack was really good. It was I don't want to go into detail, for time, but it was mostly jazz, and I sent you that one song that was named after his dead wife Lisa. It was one of my favorite tracks through the whole film, man. It's really, really smooth, and if you like smooth jazz, get past the 57 soundtrack. It's all on.
It's crazy. It's crazy you mentioned that because we didn't even talk about that really beforehand, but I wrote down it's the whole soundtrack is like the smooth jazz.
Yes. One of the better playlists that I have on my iPhone.
Yeah. And it's got that classic like 80s, 90s, and early 90s action type movies that you know, that subtle background saxophone playing, and it's got that sound that you stereotypically put into, like, if you're doing a parody of like
90s,
early 90s action movies, yeah, you'd have that in there.
Right.
But this movie actually has it, and it is perfect. It is perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the soundtrack fit. This was one of the films I could tell you that the soundtrack really fit the film perfectly. Whoever was behind the coordination there, they nailed it. It was beautiful. So
yeah, exactly. Well,
that's Passenger 57.
Yeah, man. A classic, 92. It's one of those movies that I love, but rarely get to see anymore. I've seen it a bunch of times, so getting a chance to revisit it, talk about it, put it back fresh in my mind, how much I love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. And once again, couldn't do it without you.
Anytime, man. Especially with stuff like this. Anytime, man. Anytime.
Yeah. So, look, y'all, stay tuned. That's Pastor 57. Go check it out if you haven't. If you have any questions for us, any comments, suggestions, leave them in the comment field. Like, share, subscribe to this video. Alex, any parting words?
Please check this film out. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your films. We'll see you next time.
All right. Peace.